Hello chess friends and welcome to the channel. Today is day 1 of the Clutch International, an 8 players knockout with fast rapid time controls, 10 minutes plus 5 seconds per move, and with the clutch system. In the knockout, the players will play 12 games, 6 games per day, but the novelty of this format is that the last 2 games of the day, so game 5 and 6 in day 1 and 11 and 12 in game 2, they are the clutch games. Games that will give 3 points instead of 1 to the winner. So this format can also be a bit unfair, but no one can deny that the matches will be open until the last game. We will begin with Magnus Carlsen versus the young star, American star Jeffery Xiong. Game 1, fantastic game, a crazy game that will be fun to watch together. Let's get started. Carlsen with the white pieces opens with c4, the English opening. Jeffery Xiong answers with c5, the symmetrical variation, knight to c3, sorry, and here comes g6, already breaking the symmetry. e3, knight to f6, the central push d4, c captures, e captures, and here comes d5. By transposition, we are in the Caro-Kann Panov attack with black that played the fianchetto variation. After d5, here comes queen to b3, so the pawn is under attack. Bishop to g7 is the main continuation. This pawn sacrifice is the main idea, because black will give to the white player this pawn, but white will have the double central pawns and black the activity. C captures on d5, short castle for black, and now bishop to e2, because white's problem is that is in terrible delay of development. Knight to a6, the idea is to jump with the knight to c7, so attacking the double pawn. So here comes bishop to f3, protecting the pawn. This is an important moment of the game. Black's main idea in this position is to play queen to b6. Let's watch this idea, not played by Jeffery Xiong, that in mind has a different idea. So main continuation is queen to b6, not played by Xiong. Now queen captures, a captures, the knight moves to e2, knight to b4, attacking the pawn of course, short castle, rook to d8. Black will regain this pawn. We are in an endgame more or less equal and open to any result. Let's go back to our game. Instead, after bishop to f3 played by Carlsen and protecting d5, here comes b5. This is a second pawn sacrifice. But Carlsen doesn't capture this pawn because capturing the pawn is too risky. White is already too much behind in development. Let's watch what happens if, for example, white capture with the queen, preventing at least the pin. Now, if queen captures on b5, not played by Carlsen, there is rook to b8, queen to a4, knight to b4. Black will regain one central pawn. More than that, with great activity, all of his pieces more or less are active, and the white queen, sorry, and the white king still in the center. So small advantage for black if white captures on b5. Let's go back to our game. After b5, Carlsen doesn't capture but continues with the best move, that is developing the knight. And here comes rook to b8. This is a novelty because b4 was played in the 4 games that I have in database. Bishop to f4, attacking the rook, and now rook to b6. Now in this position, really Carlsen captures the pawn because probably he feels that with the king only one move away from short castle, he can also capture this pawn. Knight captures on b5, but this is a mistake, or at least a big inaccuracy, because much better was to play short castle. And now that the knight is pinned, here comes a beautiful idea, g5, another pawn sacrifice. This is a deflection because the square bishop is controlling c7, where the knight would like to jump not only to attack a second time the pin and knight, but also to clear the a5, to play a6 and win the piece. Now only chance is to capture, knight to c7, 2 times under attack. Here comes a4, but a6, and Carlsen is a piece down. So of course advantage for black. d6, E captures on d6, but with this capture, this knight becomes pinned. Short castle for white, and A captures on b5. A5, this is the best move, the right counterplay, because not only, now this pass pawn not only has the rook behind the pass pawn, but also the I-square bishop is controlling the important diagonal and the promotion square A8. Where to bring this rook? Xiong brings the rook to b8. This is of course a mistake because the rook can't move to a8. Much better rook to a6. Knight to g3, and now knight to e6, attacking the bishop and also the central pawn. Bishop back to e3, protecting the pawn and away from the knight's attack. But problem for black is that Jeffery Xiong spent a lot of time before playing this good move, and so with much less time on the clock and only a small advantage on the board, he tries to draw the game by repetition. Brings back the knight to c7, Carlsen brings back the bishop to g5, knight to e6, bishop to e3, knight to c7, but Carlsen doesn't want to draw by repetition and continues with rook in f goes to c1. Good move. Bishop to e6 attacking the queen, queen back to d1, and here comes knight to d5. This is a good idea because now this bishop is not controlling a8 anymore. Now a6 and rook to a8. Here comes a7 and now queen to e7. Let's go back one move. In this position, because black is a piece up, good idea is to find this simplification, that is knight captures on e3 with tempo against the queen, the f-pawn recaptures, and there is time to bring the second knight to d5, and this variation is a bit better for black. Let's go back to our game. Instead, Xiong, with few minutes on the clock, continues with the good move, queen to e7, and here comes knight to h5. Knight to h5 attacking this important bishop. Knight captures on e3 really comes with tempo, as we said before. The f-pawn recaptures on e3. Now in this position, knight to d5 is still a good move. Also d5, another good move, because the bishop is still attacking the rook. Jeffery Xiong finds a different idea, but a very nice idea, that is bishop to h6. This is also the picture in the thumbnail. Now the position becomes really complicated. What to do? Carlsen continues with bishop captures on a8. Now the black bishop captures on e3 with check. King to h1 is the best move, but now with the king in the corner, Carlsen in future but must also pay attention to this back rank problem and some tricks on the first rank. Now, of course, the bishop captures on c1, the queen recaptures, and rook captures on a8. Queen to c3, activating the queen. Here comes knight to d5, that is an okay move, attacking the queen, but going back one move, the best plan in this position is to play f5. Now, this bishop will move to c4, so also protecting the pawn and controlling f1. Only later, knight to d5, and this attack is strong. This is a dominant position for black. Let's go back to our game. After queen to c3, there is the knight jump attacking the queen, but the queen move forward. Queen to c6, attacking both the rook and the pawn. Knight back to c7, protecting everything. And here comes queen to b7. This move in a blitz game, because now it's not more a rapid game with few seconds on the clock, it's becoming a blitz. This move seems strong. The reality is that this is a blunder. If Jeffery Xiong finds bishop to d5, that unfortunately he didn't find, the game is almost over, because this bishop not only is attacking the queen, but is also protecting a8, is also attacking one of the squares around the king. Now, queen to b6, queen to g5, attacking the knight, and with the checkmate idea, so the knight must move back. Here comes knight to e8, the bishop, protecting the rook on a8, is preventing any trick on the back rank. h5, h4 are coming, and this is game over. But let's go back to our game. After queen to b7, that looks really scary, but that is a blunder. Here comes another blunder, that is bishop to g4, bishop unprotected, attacking this knight, but there is a terrible knight jump. In fact, here comes queen to b8. Suddenly, Carlsen is winning because the queen is giving check and also attacking the rook. Of course, if the rook captures, the pawn becomes queen. Queen back to f8, only move, and now knight to f6 we check, that is also a fork. King to g7, queen captures we check, the king recapture, and now knight captures. On g4, regains the piece, and now Carlsen is a pawn up. Not only that, also with some margin on the clock. King to e7, knight back to e3, to the center of the board. King to d7, this black king is running to capture this pass pawn. Here comes d5, so blocking the way for the king. King to c8, knight to f5, attacking the pawn. King back to d7, and here comes h4. Knight captures, rook to a6, no, there is no way to protect this pawn. Knight to c7, and now rook captures. On d6 we check. This a7 pawn is lost, but after king to e8, there is a rook to h6, rook captures, and there is a new pass pawn on the board. It's the pawn on the h5. Knight to e6, so that the rook and the king are protecting the pawn because there was this knight jump. And here comes h5. The pass pawn is advancing. Before, same idea, but now, but black must lose time to create this pass pawn because must capture with the rook on b2. h6. This pawn is fast. Rook to a5. g4. Rook to a1 we check. King to h2. And here comes rook to a2. Because the rook will capture we check. Carlsen continues with at first rook to h8 we check. Now the rook is also controlling this back rank, and this is very important. King to d7. Now, instead of playing h7 that is more precise, to prevent this capture we check, Carlsen continues with king to g3. But the capture comes the same. Rook captures on b2, and now h7. Rook to b3 we check. King to h4. Rook to b1, and now g5. g5 is a good move, not the best idea. Now knight back to g3, controlling h1. This is a winning move that wins the game almost on the spot because the rook can move to d8, we check, the pawn will promote, and this rook can't give the skewer winning the queen. So rook to b2, trying to give check from h2, but rook to d8 comes with check. Knight captures, and instead of h8 that we lose the game after rook to h2 we check, there is knight to h5. Now rook to h2 we check doesn't scare white because the king simply moves away. Up or down is the same thing because the important thing is that the pawn will promote to queen. Let's go back to our game. Instead, here comes g5, so a new pawn advancing. b3, knight to g3, Carlsen found the idea. Knight to f4, king to g4 attacking the knight, knight to g6 attacking the rook, and here comes rook to g8. b2, rook capture, rook to h1, rook to b6 behind the pass pawn. And in this position, Xiong resigns because after b1, there is rook capture, the rook can't win the rook or the pawn will promote, so the black rook must capture the pawn, and if you watch on the board, now it's Carlsen that is a piece up. Really a crazy game that I hope you enjoyed, an incredible comeback by Carlsen with Jeffery Xiong that played boldly and also well, but unfortunately missed too many winning ideas. Anyways, when a tournament begins with games like this one, I'm always happy. If you like the video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and of course we will meet soon with new games. Goodbye!